Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to Forgiven AF Podcast. You guys know I use this as marketing material for my nonprofit, my mentorship program called Second Chance Mentors, where we work with the young men that have been kicked out of school for fighting or drugs, try to help them get back on track. It was really cool. 2 weekends ago, we took all the boys for community service because they had to do one last community service before they got their shoes. Like, they get shoes twice a year, but they have to, like, requirements that they got to meet. And so we took them to the Dollar Tree and gave them all $20 and said, hey, if you were homeless and you had $20, what would you get for yourself? Like, put together a little package, right? So they all put together a little $20 package. Then we went down to Lancaster Ave, and the boys got to, like, hop out and give their bag to somebody, right? But whoever they gave the bag to, we recorded and said, hey, will you give them the best piece of advice that you could have, like, for one of these boys that you hope they can take from you? Man, it was pretty powerful. So we had these people giving their best piece of advice, and the boy gave them the bag. You know what I mean? Wow. And there was some really good advice there. The only problem was, and this is so embarrassing, is when we went back to try to use the videos and stuff, there was no sound. We lost all the sound on the whole thing. So I'm going to go back and do that again because it would be really cool footage, you know? But the boys got a lot out of it. They understood kind of, so you see some of these people that are homeless are not that many decisions away from, where we're at. It doesn't take too much to kind of get there. But so we got a couple fun events coming up. I think we're taking them to a Mavericks game. It's kind of, sad with Luka gone, but
yeah,
I'm not even from here, but that still hurts.
It hurts. You feel the pain.
Definitely hurts. Yeah. And just and then continue on through the school year to get these boys graduated. We got one boy graduating tomorrow morning, which is really cool. Yeah. He's been going through it, but we're really proud of him. So we'll go to his graduation in the morning, but okay, on to the episode. So I'm really excited about this one, actually. This is a really cool episode. We've been in Connect for probably a couple months. I've been trying to just chasing you down. You're traveling all over. You're like Puerto Rico, Cabo. I see you all over the place. But it's nice that you're finally in town and able to do this. So I appreciate you coming on the show.
Appreciate you inviting me.
Yeah, no worries. The guest today is Allen Jones. And Allen is an author, an entrepreneur, father, which, you know what I mean? Maybe that should come first. Father, author, entrepreneur. And I've been sometimes it works out good that I'm able to if we don't connect right away, I'm able to learn more about you. You know what I mean? Once we've connected, and I've liked everything you have going on, the way you carry yourself, the way you're not scared to talk about the Lord publicly. I'm excited to have you on the show. So could you kind of tell the listeners who you are, who's Allen Jones, where you're from, what your upbringing was like?
Oh, absolutely. So like I said, my name is Allen Jones. I'm originally from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. I grew up in a poverty-stricken home. My mom, she did the best she could to try to raise me. But unfortunately, she fell on hard times. And then that happened, we ended up being homeless. And so I had to deal with, when I talk about homeless, I'm not talking about, living in friends or relatives. I'm talking about actually shelters and
real
on the street.
Homeless,
It's
yeah.
real homeless, not knowing where the next meal is going to come from, trash, and that really, really guided me throughout life because I knew then that I wanted to do something different in life to make sure that my kids growing up would never have to experience that hardship. So, through my life's journey, I've been fortunate enough to, be able to go to college, fortunate enough to be able to have successful businesses. And as an entrepreneur, I've been fortunate enough to have the life that I really wanted. So it allowed me to be that author, that allowed me to own several businesses from franchises to Airbnbs and things of that nature. So, I've been in Texas for about probably around 25, 26 years.
Okay.
And so, I kind of consider myself,
Yeah, me too.
a Texan now,
Yeah, me too. I've been here for about 20 years. I just can't get down with the Texas sports. I'm still going to be an Eagles fan, but I claim Texan. Was your dad around when you were a kid?
So my dad wasn't around when I was a kid.
Okay.
What makes it so bad, we talk about sports, he actually played professional football. So I grew up with this talent of playing professional sports, and I was really great at it, and I grew up one of the kids that was like, hey, I'm going to go pro. I'm going to go pro.
Yeah.
And I was the best person in the state, and then tragedy struck. You never know when it's going to happen, and I end up tearing my ACL.
Oh, that's a common one too, yeah.
That's a common one. And the thing about it, I did not get it fixed like I should have. And that's because my mom never took me
to the doctor and stuff, yeah.
Exactly. And if that would have happened, I played on a torn ACL through college. I played on a torn ACL trying to play semi-pro. And you can only imagine the pain of going through that.
I just want to stop right there and just say, if sometimes we don't realize I don't know how to say this and not like to be like, and I don't mean this in a political way, but like almost like the privilege that like I've never growing up, never got injured and had to worry about like, am I going to have, you know what I mean? Like, will I have the healthcare available to fix, you know what I mean? And having to grow up like that and be like, man, I just didn't even have the resources or a way to do it. That's hard.
Yeah, it's very hard and it's very impactful looking back on it. You take certain things for granted until it's not there and it's not available for you.
Yeah. So what did you do? So at a young age, you decided, look, like I'm going to do everything possible and learn everything possible to make sure that this isn't my situation.
Absolutely. I had a couple of life lessons growing up. As a juvenile, I was in and out of the juvenile system.
Okay. Oh, so you had gotten in some trouble
I,
too?
I definitely have gotten into trouble.
Yeah.
And it's one of them things that everything that I was accused of doing, I actually did not do.
Yeah.
But not to say that the things that I did actually do, I never got
That's
caught for.
yeah.
So it's almost like,
it evens out.
Evens out, right? And so what happened was a unique situation. I mean, I was 13 years old and when I first went to Juvenile.
Yeah.
And, it was something that I didn't do. It was a situation where, somebody borrowed money from me. They ended up paying me back. Uncle didn't like the way that I got the money back from him and turned into a situation I was in the juvenile system. Now, I was stuck in that juvenile system for a while and also dealing with my mom not wanting me and, ended up living on my own. So I had my own place around 14, 15, working a job and trying to go to school. And it was a situation where out past curfew, doing what kids do.
Yeah.
And I ended up in a situation where I ended up being stuck in the juvenile system a little bit longer because I did not have an adult.
Someone to pull. I was thinking that too. It's crazy how fast you can just blow over the saying part of like, because my mom didn't want me. And like, I'm stuck on that, like trying not to cry. And you were just continuing on the conversation. Is that something that you've just like, all that has to play a part in like the father and the person that you are today? Like that, you know what I mean? Like how you can use that as like a fire inside of you.
And it absolutely did. There was a level of resentment. I grew up kind of, attaching myself to my friends' parents, especially the ones that had a mom and a dad there. I found myself going over on an early Saturday morning and, they have chores and I would do their chores. Like,
just because, wow, that's so crazy.
And they'd be like,
I want my son to hear that. No, I'm sorry. I don't mean to keep interrupting you, but bro, like it's just how much we take for granted. Like my son cries about his chores. You were so excited about having a family to do chores with that was like exciting to you. Do you see what I'm saying?
It was. And it was funny because my best friend at the time, I'd be like, man, come on, do these chores so we could go play. And he'll be upset and mad. I'm like, it's just some dishes. I go do all the dishes. And then finally his parents got mad. Alan, don't
stop doing all the chores. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that, man. That's, you know what? Like I want to say like, man, I'm sorry that you had to go through that growing up. But at the same time, like that's what made you who you are. You know what I mean? Like,
and it really did. And so, you sit nights in this solitude place of Juvenile. You're a 4.0 student. You're amazing in sports. And it ended up being a situation that where I was at, I wasn't one of them situations. I wasn't made for it, right?
Yeah.
So a lawyer at the time, Don Nicholson, not knowing me, met me one time and he offered up his home for me to come stay with him, to come live with him and his wife, right? And so here I am, African American, going to go live with this middle-aged, Caucasian family, right? Nice house in Norman with, a couple of other buddies they had, Selman brothers. And it was a unique experience. I literally had everything I wanted, from horses to my own room to credit cards. I mean, you name it. It was a really amazing experience because I wasn't doing nothing but sitting in Juvenile, missing out on school, missing out on sports, only because I didn't have a guardianship. So, or what ended up happening, I didn't stay as long as I should, because when you're young, you start missing your friends.
Yeah.
And even though you have a life that most people can only imagine with the sweetest individuals that you could possibly think of, I eventually ended up running away and going back to go be around the crowds that, I grew up with, because I felt like I was an attachment to them. And it felt like I had something to prove, which, looking back on it, I did not have anything to prove.
It's crazy how when you look back on it, it's a whole different situation than at the time the way you're looking at it.
Yeah, it definitely was. But see, I was younger, even though I still had the smarts and of not to get so involved. My love for sports was kind of like my way out, right?
Yeah.
Like the team in itself was like my family. Like some people, may have grown up and they allowed like gangs to become their family. The team was really my family. And so I didn't get on drugs. In fact, I had to deal with peer pressure of not using drugs,
Yeah.
and when I say peer pressure, I mean literally want to fight just to keep me to try to use drugs, and I didn't do it. We just gonna, have to fight, or I'm
Did
gonna
you
get out the
see
car.
people growing up that were addicted to drugs and stuff?
Absolutely, I seen all the friends that I grew up with, and even including my close friend at the time.
Yeah.
And when I noticed that they didn't want to do nothing, it's like they gave up their dreams and
For
goals
drugs.
for drugs.
That's exactly how it happens, dude.
And it was something I didn't want to be a part of. I'm coming over there on a Friday, Saturday night, trying to go to the mall and go talk to girls and go
Yeah.
have fun. Let's go to the movies, and they're in the room just sitting
They just want to
around,
sit there high.
just
Yeah.
sit there high.
I lived that life. I was one of them for
And
years. Lost a lot of dreams and stuff just behind. I'm just going to smoke weed and sit on this couch.
and so you're right. And so I knew right then and there that wasn't the lifestyle that I wanted. And so I totally started disassociating myself with them.
Yeah.
And our paths definitely grew up totally different. But eventually, me being good at sports allowed me to get into schools and allowed the court situation kind of work in my favor. Like I was
Yeah.
allowed to not legally be emancipated, but they pretty much let me be on my own and didn't mess with me anymore. Have my own place, and I was, in high school playing sports, and I was as long as I was good at sports, it was good
Yeah.
until I injured myself.
Yeah.
When I injured myself, things changed
Was that
drastically.
hard? Did you feel like your value was so into the sports that as soon as you got hurt that you lost like who you were or your value as a person? Because a lot of times if we put so much into our identity as being an athlete and then we get hurt, I've seen a lot of people go through depression
And it was so much as me losing my identity because I always felt that, as soon as I was hurt, back feeling a little bit better, not knowing that I'm playing on a torn
oh
ACL,
yeah.
I'm still back out there again, beating out the competition. But what happened was in the school that they allowed me to enroll myself into, when they saw that I couldn't play for them, eventually I went from a 4.0 student to, oh, they don't have my records and, they can't find my
Oh
transcript. So now they don't want me anymore.
yeah.
And so I eventually did a decision that, looking back on it, I may have, if looking back on it now, I may would have held out a little bit longer, but I ended up getting my GED and ended up going to college and starting college at 16.
Oh, just to kind of look, I'm just going to go this whole different direction.
I just went a whole different direction. I mean, I was already a smart kid. I couldn't play,
Yeah.
football. So I said, why not go to
What am I
college?
doing? Like, I need to figure out how to make money. I need to figure out how to, yeah, because you have no backup. You have no
Nope.
one to support you. You don't have your parents saying, "Hey, I'll float you this month." You got to figure it out yourself.
Had to figure it out myself. And so, yeah, so I was, one of the kids that started college 2 years early. So I was at 16 going to school.
Yeah.
And then eventually I ended up transferring down to the University of North Texas, which was life-changing.
Is that what brought you here?
That's what brought me here. I still have family here, but just the University of North Texas is really what brought me here and kind of changed who I was as a person for the better.
Oh, that's good.
And the reason being is because, see, growing up in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, it's more urban, there's more gangs, it's more, you have something to have to prove to people. And see, for me, I wanted to be myself. And when I say being myself, I like to have fun, enjoy being around people, express love and just be myself without having to feel like I got to be this big tough guy because you're
Yeah.
always tested.
Especially when you are a big guy, they already
Exactly.
assume like, "Oh man, this guy, I got to be tough with this dude." But if you're like me, I've always been a bigger guy, but I'm like a soft teddy bear. I'm not trying to fight nobody. You know what I mean? Like,
And so me, I was kind of the opposite in a sense
yeah.
because I always had to get tested. So I was always
Oh, you
fighting
were used to
growing up,
having
and I
to,
was
yeah.
used to having to fight. So
Um,
it was one instance that I call it a moment, like kind of where you have them fork in the road.
Yeah.
I was in North Texas and we was playing football, and it gets kind of
Yeah.
it gets very competitive out there. And somebody was like, "Oh, Alan, I'll kick your butt," explicit, explicit, explicit,
Yeah.
And for me, anybody challenged me to a fight back then.
You almost had to protect
I
yourself,
had
right?
to.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even just say protect myself. I had to prove to myself that I wasn't, a punk.
Yeah,
Right? I felt like I had something to prove because up there, if you walk away from a fight up there,
For then ever, forever, you're just
you're forever.
yeah.
People will.
It's like prison. That's like prison. Yeah.
Exactly. And so at the moment, I'm, same mentality when it comes to that. Within 2 or 3 seconds, my shirt is off and I'm running towards the guy. And, all the people that were in our hall, which was, we called ourselves the Kerr Hall Clique, they all ran and grabbed me and said, no, 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 guys, no fight. Y'all don't want to get kicked out of school. Y'all don't want to lose,
You're having to learn a new way of living.
And so that moment was so different for me because where I came from, if anybody tried to break up a fight,
yeah, they standing around it, saying, "Let's go."
They would have had to fight because they didn't care. They wanted to see it.
Yeah.
But to be around people that actually showed that they
That's cool.
cared
That's
about
really cool.
importance of my education and my future was really big for me, and it allowed me to be a totally different person from where I came from.
That's so powerful.
And to be myself without worrying about being tested.
That's so powerful.
Or worried about what other people thought.
It goes right back to what you were saying earlier with like who you surround yourself with.
Exactly.
Think about if especially for the boys in the program, because we have a lot of them that are still struggling with fighting. And I'm like, if you're around a bunch of friends and they're encouraging you to go outside when these kids are pulling up to your house to fight them, they're probably not the best people to be around. You know what I mean? Like, look for the people who are trying to keep you safe and protect you, like not the ones that are egging that on.
You're absolutely right. And that meant a lot to me, because I'm like, they showed that they actually cared enough about me to not want to see something that could be detrimental to me. So that was a turning point of, things skyrocketing for me in life.
That's good. That makes a lot of sense. Did you finish school at UT or UNT?
So I didn't end up finishing school at North Texas because I ended up becoming an entrepreneur.
Okay.
That
happens. You figured out a way to make money.
You figure out a way to make money from your dorm room. And I can remember, making like $10,000 a week. And then I'm just like, what was
the first, let's go on your entrepreneur journey real quick then.
Okay. So my entrepreneur journey, it's kind of a funny story. I got involved, my roommate went to one of them, seminar type, you could make $1,000 in a week. He went to one of them things and he came back and he was like, "Oh, Allen, we're gonna be rich." And I'm like, "Nah, bro. Like, tell me you didn't go to one of them things, right?" And he's like, "No, man, it's only $399 to get started." And to a broke college student, it sounds more like $3,999 to get started to one of them things. And so I didn't want to do it. I'm like, I'm not interested. But he kept hounding me. And I'm like, he trying to get me to join one of them pyramid schemes, right?
Like an MLM or something?
Like an MLM, and I didn't know nothing about him. I just knew that, I didn't want to lose my money. I didn't know people that made money doing it.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be a part of it whatsoever. But he kept bugging me. And then one day, when he come home, I go in the room. When he leave, I come out because I did not want to be bothered to do this. So one day he called me in my favorite place, and that was the kitchen. He's like, Allen, you got to get signed up. And I'm like, man, listen, I don't have the whole $399. I was like, all right, go ahead and sign up. And he said, you guarantee I'll make $1,000 because it was the end of the semester. Didn't have a lot of money left over. So I'm looking forward to next semester. And I just started a job at American Airlines.
Okay.
So I signed up, ended up overdrafting my account. So I ended up overdrawing my account by like $50.
To pay the $399?
Pay the $399. I'm too embarrassed to tell people that I'm even a part of something like this. Like, who done suckered you into this type of thing?
I've been there, bro.
So I said, I'm not supposed to ask nobody to be this customer. So I went on Craigslist and put up an ad on Craigslist for like electricity customers, the company electricity customers. I had a couple of people that hit me up and I was like, okay, sent them the information, got the amount of customers that I needed to make that $1,000 because I needed it, right?
Yeah.
So I never seen a presentation. I never seen anything about the company. I just did what he told me that I needed to do. I just followed directions. Yeah. And so when that Friday came around, I'm thinking I'm not going to make anything, right?
Yeah.
And I'm telling my friend, I'm like, because he's like, you really did that? I'm like, yeah. So Friday came around and I went to check the back office of the business and it said total commission $0. So now I'm extremely deflated. So in my mind, I'm like, I knew I wasn't going to make no money. I knew this was a scam. It was, I'm upset, right? So, but I'm just like, I got to figure out how to dispute this with my bank. I got to get my money back some kind of way. So the next week come around, it's Christmas Eve, and I can remember I'm stuck in Denton. I can't go nowhere because my gas tank is on empty. Like, when it's actually on E, and you can't get too far. And I don't have the money to go to get no gas. People like my friend called and say, hey, you want to go Christmas shopping? I'm like, nah, man, I'm literally broke. And when your bank account is negative, it's like an instant reminder of how broke you really are.
Yeah.
And you're scared to check it because you think
It might
it
go
was
worse.
$50 last time. It might be
Oh,
$250
it's
this
so
time.
true. I've
So
been there.
so I'm sitting here and it's like a little voice like that came to my mind. I had a call and it was a girl that I was,
Yeah.
talking to, and she was with her grandmother and she invited me over for Christmas. And you know how hard it is to tell somebody you just talked to tell their grandmother that you can't come
Yeah.
over for Christmas.
You tell her
And
the truth and say it's because I'm broke?
I did not tell her the truth. That was never gonna go well.
Yeah,
And so someone was like, you know what? Go check that business back office again. So I went back and checked the business back office, and it said my total commissions was $1,000. I'm like, that cannot be true. So I logged out of there quick, ran back to my bank account because, like I said before, I ain't checked it
Yeah.
because I don't need to be reminded of how broke I am.
That's so
And when I
funny.
logged into my bank account, it said total balance $950. The first thing that came to my mind is I got to get to the ATM machine quick
To get it all out
to get
before
it
they
out.
take it back.
Listen, they made a mistake.
Oh, that's so funny.
I could deal with the consequences later.
Oh, like if it's not mine and they backdrafted, it's okay. I'll deal with that. But
Yeah,
right now,
my
there's a
school
chance I can
funding
have
will be
some money.
there. I would have the money
Oh,
right
it's
now.
so funny. My head hurts.
So I'm calling my friend. I'm like, hey, bro, you got to come get me, pick me up. Let's go to the ATM machine. But to make a long story short, it wasn't a mistake. And then I finally kind of learned a little bit more about it. And I went out there and I only had 1 hour because I was so busy, between school and working at American Airlines, driving from Denton to Fort Worth every day. I mean, my professor let me out 30 minutes early just so I could make it to work on time because if you miss 3 tardies in training, you're done, right? And it was in the midst of them laying off 14,000 employees. And I was scared that I was going to lose my job, right? Because I just got hired on. I mean, I think they was only paying me like $9 an hour.
Yeah, whatever.
And they was like, no, your job's is fine. Because we seen them walking them out with boxes. I mean, these people been there 20-something years, 30-something years. I mean, they don't even have a chance to even say goodbye to their friends.
Yeah, they was getting the big money.
They was getting the big money. And what they said is they're getting rid of the people that been here the longest that they're paying the most.
That's what I mean. They're getting rid of the big money.
The big money. Yeah. And so for us, we're safe because they don't hire.
Yeah, you're $9. You replacing their job.
Exactly. These people that's getting paid $20, $30 an hour, they're getting out the door to bring in us the $9
to do the same job,
to do the same job for a lot less.
That's true.
And so it lit a fuel under me to know that, hey, I cannot be solely depending upon one source of income.
Oh, that's good.
Because at any moment I could get laid off, let go, or fired at any given time. So I wanted to make sure that I had a plan B opportunity. And I went out there and it fueled me to work this business 1 hour a week on a Sunday, and eventually it got to the point where I was making $10,000 a week. And then the next 3 months,
off of doing the electricity stuff?
I was doing electricity.
That's awesome.
Made $115,000 in 3 months. And I said, if I'm doing this part-time, what would happen if I did it full-time? And that's when I quit my job at American Airlines.
You just went all in on that?
Went all in and ended up making like $600,000 that
That's
first
so
year.
cool. That's awesome.
And the rest is history. I've been fortunate enough to be on like the Anderson Cooper show, teach people to become debt-free and financially stable and a lot of other things. But I never would have had that opportunity if I didn't say
That's
yes.
cool. That's really cool. And then you didn't even want to do it. It's so funny because I know what you're talking about. I've signed up after pressured for a long time for one of those MLM things. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do it. But then I was like, but I'm not going to tell nobody I'm doing this because it's embarrassing. But then how the hell are you going to build it if you don't tell them when you're doing it?
You don't tell nobody.
I've been in that boat. So then I really like that you hit on the multiple streams of income because I think that's so important nowadays that we can't put all of our eggs in one basket. We have to really make sure that we're finding, or keeping our options open and making sure that we're keeping ourselves protected,
You have to. And what I tell people all the time is also about creating leverage. When you think about it, we have multiple bills every single month. And right now you could go out there and buy a brand new Lexus. It comes with 4 brand new tires and you still have to put a spare tire in the back. Why? Because you just never know when you might have to pull out that spare tire.
Yeah.
And I can tell anybody, no matter what age you are in life, that you're going to experience some LIFE. Life can be, marriage, life can be divorce.
Yeah.
Life could be pink slip on your job. It could be your car breaking down. It could be college. It could be paying back student loans. It could be death. It's a lot of things. Sickness. Life is going to happen to each and every single one of us. Life happens to us all the time, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a situation where you choose to be proactive or choose to be reactive. And I'd rather be proactive right now and to go out there to create multiple streams of income, whatever it is that you're doing to create multiple streams of income, for you.
Yeah.
If you look at the rich, if you look at things like Shark Tank and other things of that nature, they're always looking to allow their money to work for them.
Yeah.
So they have to create the leverage, because if you're working a job, you can make $100 an hour, but if something happens to you and you can't work, I tell people all the time,
It's good.
what would happen to your family? If something happened to you right now, what would happen to the people that you love and care about if you're the solely dependent source of income for you and your family?
It's true. It's scary. And that's how fast someone can lose everything.
That's how fast somebody, and we see it. We see
Yeah.
it happening today. Is another company that's letting off 1,300 people today.
Really? It's just,
Severance. The government's letting off people.
yeah.
And so it's a situation that makes people say, "Hey, what can I do to go out there and leverage, my efforts and make an income that doesn't require me to be there?"
Yeah, that's good.
And that's what people should be looking at and creating some type
Trying
of
to find a way residual
trying
income.
to find some
Yeah,
residual income.
that's good. And you don't you kind of also like teach this type? You teach this type of stuff too, right? So like at the end, if we could get your information, if anybody has any questions or wants to like dive deeper into that, they can reach out to you.
Oh, absolutely. So
Okay.
I teach people how, and like I say, I'm what you call a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I've had franchises before. Spent well over $370,000 open up a burger franchise.
Yeah.
Airbnb.
Was that one of the first things you did, right?
That was one of my first things that I did.
I saw that hit.
And that was fun. I mean, it was a fun experience.
Did you then sell it?
I did sell it.
Yeah.
I did sell it because it felt like I bought myself a job.
I know how that can be.
It was a lot of work. It was a lot of work going into that as well, and it was more work than what I'm normally used to creating. Especially with the passive income that I've done before. I've been fortunate enough to get into the crypto, industry.
See?
I got into that very early on, not knowing a lot about it.
Yeah.
But it's nothing wrong with not knowing. We don't know what we don't know, but it's something wrong with continue to not know about something.
If there's resources available to learn it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I got into Airbnbs. That's really paid out a lot. I got into helping people get started, setting up their own tax business. That's really good.
I love that, man. You got so many different avenues of things.
So many different avenues, because all them streams of income, when they come in, it buys you leverage.
Yeah.
So when people ask me all the time, they say, "Hey, Alan, what's the best way to go out and make $10,000 a month?" Right? And I tell them, "Hey, find 10 streams that's paying you $1,000 a month, $250 a week. That's easy. That's simple. Let me not say easy, but it's simple enough. Because if you had one stream of income that was only paying you $250 a week, you probably couldn't live off that, right?
Yeah.
But go out there and multiply it to 10.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden you're making $2,500 a week. And if something was to happen to, let's say, 3 of them streams of income, you still got $7,000 coming in.
Yeah, that's true. It's a good point. It definitely makes sense. I'm with it. I want to hit on this book a little bit. Is that cool?
Oh, absolutely.
Because I, to be fully honest, I haven't finished reading the whole thing, but what I have read in the parts of it that I've gotten the information, it's actually really good. This is something you put a lot of effort into this. Chapter 3, right, is and that's the part I want to hit on, because I think that's something that's just powerful, and I think that there's so many young men that are just stuck in this place, and you call it the sunken place. Can you kind of hit on that, what that's about? And
Sure. So the sunken place is a point in life where we start to doubt ourselves. I think everybody understand that as human beings, we talk to ourselves 85% of the time. And I'm not saying we're going down the street and like, oh, no.
Yeah.
It's that we talk to ourselves in our mind. So the thing that we got to ask ourselves is, what are we feeding ourselves? Are we saying positive energy stuff, or are we saying negative stuff? Right? Because whatever we full of is what's going to come out of you. So
That's
if you're
so
full
good.
of some positive information, positive is going to flow out of you. But if you're full of negative, guess what's going to flow out of you? Negative stuff.
Yeah.
And so what happens is, when we are fighting and we're getting beat up, right? Because like I said before, life happens to everybody. It's nothing wrong with failing. I've failed so many times in life. I failed when I was sitting in the juvenile detention center, locked up behind the jail cell. I failed when, I left school early, got my GED. I failed when I got fired from my job. But what I tell people, in life, we have to fail our way to success. I could fail 100 times, but all it takes is one time to be successful. So when we're in that sunken place,
That's so good.
it's what we tell ourselves. How do we pull ourselves out of that sunken place, right? And that's where we go back to our dreams, goals, and visions. When I think about vision, one of the biggest things I think about Walt Disney. A lot of people don't know that Walt Disney died before the completion of Disney World, right? And at the ribbon cutting, his wife Minnie was there, and the person standing next to her said, "Hey, I sure wish Walt could have been here to see it." And she said something that was so powerful. She said, "I beg to differ." She said, "If Walt didn't see it, then none of us would be standing here today." So you have to have that
Vision.
vision to
Yeah.
see the end from the beginning. And what I tell people all the time, in the midst of that vision, we also have to work on our mindset. So our mindset is powerful. That 6 inches between our head and brain, it works best like a parachute and open. When we think about life, like for me, I could have fell down deep in the sunken place. My mom wasn't there. My dad wasn't there. And I tell people right now where you're at this very moment in time, right now, is from the decisions that you made
Hmm.
thus far.
That's good.
And where you're gonna be at the next year, 2 or 3 years,
From the
is
decisions you're making today.
is gonna be the decisions that you make today.
That's good.
Remember, it's nothing is challenging. If you say, Alan, hey, what's the best way to eat an elephant? Guess what I'm gonna tell you?
Piece bite by bite.
One bite at a
Yeah.
time, right?
So
And so when people think that it has to be in big chunks, no, we didn't get here in big
that's
chunks.
really good advice.
It's
Keep
little
taking
things,
steps forward. As long as you're moving forward, you're making progress.
minor victories,
That's
right?
really good.
And never give up. Never give up. When I graduated with my GED, right? It was a situation where I left the school. I wanted to try to go in another, and they wouldn't take me. And then they said, "Oh, well, you need to go to this alternative school because you missed too many days." I got my GED, and I wanted to enroll in college. Well, the college said, "Hey, you can't start college until your class graduates." So here I am finishing up in like the end of 1999, right? And my class graduated in 2001.
So you had to wait 2 years?
They wanted me to wait 2 years, but I did not believe that. I went to OSU. I talked to the dean, and that was the person that told me that. And he's like, "It's not up to me. It's up to the Oklahoma State Board of Regents." So I said, "Okay." I called the Oklahoma State Board of Regents, right? And they said, "No, that's not true. It's up to the college whether or not they want to let you in or not." I said, "Hold on one second. That's back when we had our phones."
Yeah.
Call three-way, call the dean up. "Hey, remember when you told me that it's up to the Oklahoma State Board of Regents?" "Oh yeah, yeah, it's up to them to." I said, "Well, hey, I got one of them representatives on the phone right now here," and he was like, "Oh, we'll call you back. We'll call you back." He's like, "Alan, can you make it to Stillwater?" I was like, "Yeah, I could drive up there." And basically, he told me that, hey, yes, it is true. It's up to the college, but the reason why they told me that because they didn't want to defer students to drop out of
They didn't
school,
want people to
get their
start doing
GED,
that.
and start
Yeah.
going to college, right? Because I scored so high on my ACT, I met all the qualifications
That's
to
cool.
get in.
That's cool.
And so the reason why I say that is because one door may shut, but there's so many different ways to get to a
Yeah.
destination.
Don't just take one no and think that it's all.
That's it.
That's really good
And,
advice.
and that's one thing that is really powerful. Like if something happens, go out there and keep trying because it doesn't necessarily have to be a straight line,
Yeah.
right? And so when we get into the sunken place, what happens is you stop believing in yourself. The best person on your team is you. You're the Michael Jordan of you. So you have to self-motivate, right?
Yeah.
And one of the best ways is remember what you feed yourself. Start feeding yourself positive information. We got enough negativity in the news. We got enough negativity behind you, people doubting you, and then let alone you doubting yourself. When we talking to ourselves, man, what you gonna try that for? Man, you tried them last 3 or 4 businesses and you failed. You tried that
Yeah.
and you
That
failed.
negative self-talk.
That negative self-talk, and that's why I tell people, fail your way to success. See, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take.
Yeah.
100% of the shots that you don't take. If you still have breath and you still are sitting, things could change within
It's
the
so
year.
true. You never know what could happen.
Never
Just
know.
keep shooting, right?
Just keep shooting.
Man, that's such good. Dude, since we switched to the book, bro, your whole mindset switched to, your whole, you know what I mean? Like I can tell that this is what you do. You really like to help people overcome that adversity stuff.
Absolutely.
Your whole persona switched to this like motivator. I'm over here like writing notes down and I love it.
And it boils down to the life. Like when I tell people sleeping on the top of the building, breaking into buildings just to have some shelter to live,
Yeah.
See, there was a situation. I remember this post, and it was talked about Muhammad Ali. I can't remember who he was fighting, but he was knocked down, right? And eventually Muhammad Ali, he got up and eventually he won the place. And he said the quote that the ground is no place for the champion. Remember, when you're at rock bottom, the only place to go is up.
Yeah.
But that's going to depend on you. If you're going to go out here and you want to achieve it, there's nothing that can stand in your way stopping you from doing it but yourself. The worst enemy that we'll ever come across in life is our enemy within our me.
God, our negative self, man.
It's our inner me, inside of me.
So good, dude.
That's it. So that's what we got to understand. It's the mindset that causes that problem. So if people can, if the people that are listening to, they wanted to take something from this juvenile boy that said would never amount to something, right?
Yeah.
Is to never give up. Even when when you feel yourself down in yourself and you're in that sunken place, find something that makes you happy. Write down your dreams and goals. Because what happens is if you think about it, if they're just thoughts and you don't write them down, they'll never amount to nothing. So once you write them down, then they could become a goal. Yeah. Once you accomplish your goal, then you could truly have success.
Man, that's so good, dude. You've just given so much good stuff back to back to back that if someone could take all that and really digest it, it's really good. Couple things that I want to make sure that we don't miss on. How can anybody listening find you, whether it's social media, like your websites, of anything you have they find the book on Amazon, just all the information?
Oh, absolutely. So if you want to get my book on Amazon, it's www.justclockedout.com, and that'll take you to the link to be able to buy my book.
It looks like this.
Yes.
It's really good. I'm excited to go read the whole thing now that I hear you talk.
Yeah, you're gonna absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Find me on social media. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/AllenTJ. On Instagram is Instagram.com/Allen Jones CEO.
Okay, you're going detailed. What if they just look, and that's good. I'm not telling you to stop that, but if they just look up Allen Jones, big, good looking black dude in a suit, you'll right in the picture. No, I think in the picture you might have in your Facebook when you got maybe a Hawaiian shirt on still. I forget
exactly. Yeah, I think I got a Hawaiian. I don't know what shirt I got on. But,
I don't remember either.
But they'll be able to find me. They'll be able to look me up, be able to follow me. Ask for different advice. I'm a big believer that God blesses us to bless other people.
Amen. I agree too.
And at the end of the day, I consider myself a steward, right? Because as a believer, God owns everything, right? And if he owns everything already, then all we're doing is just managing his stuff.
That's it. That's biblical.
And so we're just trying to be a good steward, a good manager of
And when
ourselves.
you are, he'll give you more.
And he'll give you more. Yeah. It's just like at your job. If you're out here doing a good job at work and you're getting noticed and recognized, guess what? You're going to get more responsibilities and an increase in pay.
That's so true. Same thing with your faith, that's so true.
And that's it.
That's good.
A faith untried and tested can't be trusted, right?
Yeah, that's so good. Let me ask you one quick thing. This is the last thing I ask everyone. It's a really important question. Is if you could give little Allen at 16 years old one piece of advice, what would it be?
The number one thing that I would give myself is not worry about what other people think. Man. Focus on your dreams and goals, and not worry about other people think, because you have to live your life. You have to run your race, and we're going to talk about that. And you read that about in the book. You have to run your race.
That's so good, man. The reason that's so good is because and I shared it with you a little bit earlier, is that's my biggest struggle, is just being consumed. Sometimes it just freezes me in action because I'm too worried about, if I do this, those people will think that. And it could be people who are completely insignificant and doesn't matter at all. And I'll allow that to stop me from making moves or doing stuff because I'm like, but what if it gets perceived like this? Well, is that my intention? No, but I'm so worried about how they might perceive it that I don't know. Sorry to go overboard, but when you just said that, it's just because that's a big one. I'm still working on that.
And I can tell you, as growing up, through all the people in middle school and high school, I can definitely tell you that I'm one of the most, successful person. And to think if I would have let their feedback affect
limiting beliefs and you can't do that. You don't even have
And that's why you have to tune out and stay focused on you and your goals. Because remember, at the end of the day, you're responsible for you.
Yeah, that's so good. I would love for you to come. Would you come sometime, and if we had a meeting where we get all our boys together and just kind of give them advice on, because a lot of the boys would really relate to your stuff.
Absolutely. I love that. And I really would love that, because I went to several of, growing up in youth and going to different camps and church camps across this, I would love to
You'd
talk
be
to them.
really good with these boys. We're real big on, representation, and I like them to see someone that looks like them and, hey, he's overcome this, you can too. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Sometimes they see me and they're like, yeah, of course you did. You know what I mean?
And
but
this generation has more resources than we ever
they
had,
do, right?
son.
It's so true.
Ever
The
had.
information is at their hands and feet. Man, thank you so much.
Hey, I appreciate you having
I
me on.
really, I'm super excited with how this came out. I'm excited for this to drop on Monday. You gave a lot of awesome information. And y'all, get this book, Just Clocked Out, on Amazon. Allen Jones. Again, thanks, bro. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Shawn.
Yeah, no worries. Remember, you guys, you're loved and you're forgiven, and there's nothing you can do about it. Peace.